Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like the Cardinals, has to bring in outside help. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined by my co-host, Ben Samorka.
Hey, Nate.
And joining us this week, friend of the show, the blog father himself, host of many podcasts, including Meet Me at Mutual, Daniel Shoptaw, or maybe you may know him as C70.
Howdy, guys.
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. All right, Hambone, Daniel, you're both here. You've survived the spooky season. As best I can tell, neither of you have been possessed, absorbed by any sort of demon or anything like that. How are you doing? How are you feeling post Halloween? Ben, you got yourself a little tummy ache from all the candy I'm sure you've been eating?
You know, it came close, Nate. I was out there.
Yeah.
On Halloween, on the day after Halloween, and it came close. I think I almost got taken.
Yeah.
By him or you know them or whatever.
Or it.
It.
Babadook.
The power. I think the Babadook almost got me.
Yeah.
Shrek is not like that. That is not.
Shrek
I don't
just
think that's cool.
sees you as a brother, I suppose.
Yeah, Shrek is my dog. That is not how I see Shrek or Shrek sees me. Or maybe Shrek would see you that way.
Don't
But
care.
I think you even like throwing him in the conversation is irresponsible and stupid.
Daniel, how about yourself? Now I know you're a big Christmas guy. I have voted for you in Christmas competitions. But Halloween, what do you feel? Is it a pagan holiday? Are you a participant? How do you feel about?
We don't do much Halloween. I know Ben is probably, well, his head is completely spinning around by now, but no, we don't. We have in the past, we have given out have some trick or treat candy and stuff like that. But we didn't even do that this year. The kids are older, one's out of the house, one's a senior, and there's a lot of people that come by, but candy's freaking expensive.
Dude.
So so we let it go this year.
Nice. Yeah. I assume most of your extra space is used for big snowmen, jingle bells, etc.
Yeah. We're at basically 10 days now till the decorating starts. So
Holy cow.
Personally kind of dreading it, but I'm a big Thanksgiving fan, so we got that coming up. But we talk a lot about food on this show. Daniel, are you a sweets guy? Do you like a sweet treat here and there?
Well, you've seen me. So I think the answer should be obvious.
Our bodies can be built in a lot of different ways. So sweets, meats, Hambone, our friend here, he's mostly
two
nitrates.
food groups for me, sweets and meats. Yeah. You named it. That's what else do you need?
I will say I'm not overly so much. My wife makes amazing cookies, and when they get her in the house, then they are usually 1, 2, 5, 10 are gone all of a sudden.
Nice.
Candy here and there, sure, but it's not like an obsession or anything. But if it's there, I'll probably put it in my mouth.
Yeah. Same. What do you get at a ballpark? Have we talked about this? I mean, we were at a ballpark together, but it was sort of a different environment. Right. And we're all trying to look good for John Mozeliak. We're all in our prettiest dresses, so obviously, we're not. I mean, I burned my hand on hot cheese, but do you have a standard go to when you're at the ballpark?
Hot dogs mainly. When and again, I don't get it. Usually my trip is blogger day, and so
they roll out the red carpet for you, of course, and hot dog in each hand.
They roll out the red carpet, put me on it, roll it back up, and take it out.
Ben gets confused thinking it's a fruit roll up.
You know, they
You
had
just
some
look
really
so
great stuff.
disappointed in me.
Yeah,
That was a bad joke. Also, you think that I'm so stupid and so starved
Yes.
for fruit candy that I think a carpet
Yes.
is a fruit roll up?
Yes.
You're stupid for that.
Sorry, Daniel, go on.
No, it's fine. You know, they've had great stuff at the Blogger. They've kind of eased it up a little bit, but there were years, you know, the year that they had the bacon wrapped hot dogs
What?
was,
Oh, wow.
yeah, that was some good stuff. So
They knew we were coming this year.
those first couple years of the Blogger days, they brought out, you know, the chef and, you know, showed the new things at the ballpark and all that kind of stuff. In the last 4, 5, 6 years, they've kind of eased back to, they like, oh, you're just here to promote.
Yeah, they
like,
realized.
no, actually, you know.
They realized the ROI on feeding a bunch of podcasters.
Yeah.
It does sound like that timeline really lines up with the skimping on other things across the organization as well.
Yeah.
So we'll just lump this into
probably
the
about
pile.
the time they had to start paying for Nolan Arenado, they said, no, this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
I guess you probably have no idea, but you know, we had such a good time there. But we also know John Mozeliak, obviously, he's on his way out. Are you anticipating any changes to like engagement between the front office and you know, fan structured engagement like what we are?
It's a good question. I mean, obviously, Mo has been here the whole time we've done this.
Yeah.
And I would expect that, you know, we'll have it again this year with him. The telling thing maybe is if Heimblum comes in with him, and he kind of gets him prepared for the handoff. I think they like that.
Yeah.
I think they want a chance to some degree to put their side of the story out there in a way. I mean, they have their own, obviously they have websites and they have Twitter and all that kind of stuff, but you know, they put out their side of the story a little bit less filtered through podcasts and us than they would if they're talking to Derek or Katie or things of that nature. So I think there's still value to them on that, and I would expect that they would. But, you know, again, it may also come down to Heimblum doesn't want to do it, so we may get, you know, Carfolio or whoever the case may be,
John Jay.
in there. Yeah. So.
Stick him in there. Well, we certainly had a great time and hope to do it again. I mean, Heim was there this year and was not in the room with John Mazzella. But I guess he was just a special assistant at that point.
Yeah, he was. And in fact, when we were there, right, he was still working on this whole big audit that he must have presented the plans for soon after we were there. So we'll give him a pass this time.
Interesting. Well, I guess we'll see. I guess we have some Cardinal content to get into. The World Series is over. I was right. Ben was wrong. The Dodgers won it pretty handedly and are dunking on the Yankees quite regularly after the fact, which I have been enjoying. And so now we're into the offseason. We are truly in the offseason. We've got actions, we've got trades, we've got some movement going. And we're starting to get a little glimpse of what the Cardinals are going to do this offseason and what they might look like in 2025. There was some recent news that dropped that I personally was a little surprised by. Ben, do you want to kick us off here?
Yeah, let's talk about Willson Contreras. This just came through the transom right before we hopped on pod tonight. Willson
Ben gets
Contreras,
all of his news in Morse code.
You know, it's here. It's here now, Nate. Willson Contreras is headed for a position change. The Cardinals plan to move Contreras from catcher to first base next season. This is coming from Jesse Rogers of ESPN at the general manager or the meetings that are going on right now. President of Baseball Operations John Mozeliak told reporters today that the move to a first base / designated hitter role was made with Contreras' long-term health and longevity in mind, adding that he's unlikely to catch at all in 2025. Mozeliak went on to add that Contreras was quite clear about his desire to remain in St. Louis, even as the team embarks on something of a reset. So, yeah, I would consider that pretty big news to start this offseason. We talked about it probably making some sense to move on from Contreras, although there could be an argument against it. I don't know how I really feel about moving him completely off catcher. I think he's been a fine catcher. I think his catching gets really beaten up, and I think his bat at that position is what makes Willson Contreras so special. And, he's gotten injured back there. I think, was it JD Martinez broke his arm this year with a swing? So
on
that
the
won't happen
swing,
at first
not even
base.
the back swing, which is just horrible.
So like what did he say? Long-term health and longevity in mind. I mean, you're not going to get hit by a bat at first base, or at least it's very unlikely to get hit by a bat.
With these kids and their bat flips, you never know what might happen.
That's such a good point, Nate.
I feel like you're coming at me a lot.
No, it's a good point. With the kids that are bat flipping these days, if you walk into a ballpark, you could have at any point.
Why do you think they put the netting up, folks?
See?
I mean,
see?
Or, a broken back could go to the pitcher. They throw it to first instead of the ball.
I've seen that happen on a field.
Dude. As a former player, the amount of times I accidentally threw a bat instead of a ball, I mean, it happens.
At what point in the 2025 season do you think the infielders are going to have a private meeting and they're going to talk about how Willson Contreras isn't receiving the ball right at first base, and that's why they have so many errors, at the midpoint?
We're going to get a call from Jack Flaherty over on the ace of the Dodgers and his $250 million contract.
Whoa, he's not making $250. No.
I don't know, the Dodgers.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Daniel, what are your thoughts on the Willson to first move?
It's interesting for the ramifications more than for the actual move. I agree. The bat's played well, and it'll probably play well at first. It's not going to be as valuable at first as it is at catcher, but then again, it's going to be a step up from what we got out of Goldschmidt this year. So, and the catching situation was going to be untenable for next year, right? I mean, there's no way you could have Contreras, Herrera, and Pages as your catchers all year long. You had to do something. And whether it was trade Contreras, whether it was trade Herrera, or to do this. So that makes sense. It's nice to hear that Contreras wants to still be here, which I'm not too surprised at. I just, what does this now mean for, that's a position we were looking at, right? We were looking at Baker and Burleson and Walker and maybe even Gorman, or all these different possibilities at first base. And now that's kind of shut off because you figure Contreras is going to be there 130, 140 games a year at least. So what do they do with all these guys? Yeah,
it's funny. We've got all these like big bodied sluggers that are just waiting for that first base spot. And we're going to slide one of the most athletic people on the team over to first. Like you said, though, they had to do something. And if him saying, I wanted to stay here is also subtly saying, I'm not going to accept a trade, then it certainly is a solution. I know it's really hard to trade a guy like Pages. I think Ben and I have talked a lot about how Ivan, I think, has a ton of trade value, but I could also understand why the organization doesn't want to get rid of him. He seems like he might be one of the best hitters on the team, but it does feel like taking, like Ben said, Contreras is truly the most valuable as a catcher, and I worry that he basically has to hit at peak Contreras for a full season to really be like a valuable first baseman. And I'd kind of almost rather see Luke and Baker develop in 2025 there, or Jordan Walker or Burleson.
I think that there is a chance that Willson Contreras can turn into relatively quickly a very good first baseman. Yeah. But you have to be like Christian Walker level good, which is a guy who, like, his advanced analytics, his defensive metrics don't make sense. He is an aberration at the position because he's so good at going to his right, and is just very steady-handed. I don't see that happening. And you also are putting one of the best arms in baseball at a position where the arm is almost a non-factor. I'm sure he'll make a couple of amazing plays. But I think it goes back to like this move is for Pedro Pages to get get more starting time. And I'm not sure I'm fully convinced that moving Willson Contreras to get Pedro Pages more starting time makes any sense. I think that he had a fine year last year. Obviously, he can get into a home run every now and then. He's got the smile. He's got the it factor.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, he's oozing Riz. He's rizzing. He's risen me up.
Uh-huh. Wow, said with such conviction. What's the deal with this guy? He's risen me up.
He's oozing it. And I know the team likes him. I know he's young. I'm just not sure I'm totally sold on this from a process standpoint. I'm not sure I totally get the thought here. When I thought like a combo Contreras Herrera for catcher DH seemed to make a lot of sense to me. They can both hit. They can both catch a little bit. We were talking about Herrera's offensive ceiling might be really, really high. That's what it kind of looked like where he was going from my point of view last year as he continues to develop. So I don't know.
Is this actually part of this idea of development being the focus because it's going to allow Ivan Herrera to play 70% of the games, 60% of it, whatever that may be, instead of riding the pine and playing, once a week when Contreras can't?
If Mo would have said, we're doing this so that we can keep Willson Contreras healthy and so that Ivan Herrera can start 130 games next year, I think I'd be like, duh, let's go. That makes all the sense in the world to me. But just based on the way that they've been handling him and Pages, I can't really tell who's in the lead in that tandem right now. I guess.
Yeah.
Is the option Herrera because of the offense?
Well, and let's not forget Jimmy Crooks. So there could still be a trade coming.
I would never forget Jimmy Crooks.
May we never. That's what they mean when they say never forget. It's Jimmy Crooks.
Oh, okay.
Well, that went a different way than I expected.
It was fine. So this obviously we don't know yet and won't know for quite a while what the final picture is going to look like for the catcher position. But it has felt like they've had 4 that they want to start at catcher, and now 1 is off. I still wouldn't be super surprised by a trade and them still doing this. Like, let's say they trade Herrera, who I think has the most trade value there. Then you would see a Pages, Crooks sort of maybe battle to see who's the long-term starter, sort of a development thing like you're saying. But I also just am a little worried about there's a need for development at first base too, possibly for someone like Walker or Burleson, or as been Baker. Baker has one position, 1.5 DH and first base. So if you're saying Contreras is our starting first baseman, what does that mean for Baker? Are they done with him?
Obviously, the team hates Luke and Baker. I don't know why, but they don't like him. He's not prioritized. He is like forced his way into the conversation by great play. But there's never been a push for anything pro Baker.
Well, I'm still of the opinion that Luke and Baker's a quad A player.
He very may well be.
And I get what you're saying, that they haven't given him as much chance, but the chances that he has had, it just hasn't. I haven't seen. And again, they know what, they have a little bit more information on that. I would have liked.
Do they, Daniel? After all this off-season reporting, I'm not sure they do have more information.
Is fair.
Yeah, minor leagues may have plenty of information on him. What we don't know is if any of that has been transferred to the major leagues and whatever.
The problem is that Mo gets his information about the minor leagues from listening to podcasts like us, and he doesn't even listen to Kyle, and that's the problem. I don't imagine that they would prioritize Baker at first anyway, even if they hadn't moved Contreras. And I don't know what to do with him, honestly. I think he may have another option here, maybe he doesn't. But it's hard to imagine him getting a real extended run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
look at some of these,
I would like
look at some of these batted ball numbers from him. When he connects, it's elite, you know.
I know I'm the Denver guy talking on a Cardinals podcast, but him coming over to Coors Field and being our starting first baseman for the Rockies would be a ton of fun. One other thing I want to mention about, to be a little more positive on the Willson Contreras news than how I initially came out of the gates. He's never had he's been a catcher, a hardworking catcher. He's eclipsed 130 games one time in his career, and just like the wear and tear of being a catcher, of the style in which he plays, I do think that there could be like a untapped offensive potential.
Yeah.
That we don't know about yet. And there could be, if you look at his batted ball profile, if you look at the way that he's taken walks in a Cardinals uniform, which has been a lot higher than his career walks or with the Cubs. If you kind of add that with his batted ball, the way that he makes hard contact, there could be, maybe he adds on, maybe he puts up a 150 WRC plus, a 160 WRC plus. I don't think that that's likely. I'm not going to bet money on that, but you're not squatting 4 hours a day or whatever. You're not doing all that extra work. Maybe he finds a little extra life in the bat, and we have some, a little tiny amount of fun watching a pretty exciting player in 2025.
It could be. I think it's a fun thing to think about. For sure, I
like to think about it. I think it's
fun. I'm having a little fun thinking about it.
I like having
I like having fun. We've never seen 650 plate appearances from Willson Contreras, and he is old when you think of him as a catcher. But when you just think of him as a first baseman, he's right there in the sweet spot where a lot of these guys are really hitting their peak. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would be a lot of fun to see a 34 home run season from Contreras with like a 920 OPS or something like that.
And it just fired up.
I am the unfun, but I do think it's fair to, Ben pointed out it a little bit a minute ago as he was joking about the infielders, but Contreras has played a total of 50 innings at first base in his career. I continue to go back to the Moneyball of Ron Washington, and it's incredibly hard. And we've talked, and I know we've talked about it, and all of us have talked about it some with Jordan Walker and how switching positions has not necessarily helped him. Now, granted, it's a different situation because Contreras is a more established player, but if he is having to focus on learning first base, and it's obviously going to be a step down defensively from Goldschmidt. Sure. But, is that a situation where it kind of counteracts that, the bonus of not squatting is when he's learning this thing. It may be that he gets off to a slow start in the second, he has a great second half. I think that's possible as well. But, it's just a wrinkle that they throw in here.
Yeah. Catching is just, it's the most unique position in baseball. Mm-hmm. It takes up so much time. The extra meetings, you have to do pitchers meetings, you have to do hitters meetings, you have to do game planning meetings. There are just all that extra stuff with the physical load that no other position has. We've seen other catchers do this. It's not like Joe Mauer refound his stroke that he had in his MVP season once he moved to first base. But I while we're having fun, while it's the off season, I'm going to bet on it. I think it could be a little awakening.
He certainly seems like the type of guy that could at least make himself relatively quickly into a league average first baseman. I'd be really surprised if he's bad over there.
I feel like he could play a lot of positions. Obviously, he doesn't have the wheels to play the outfield, really, but he's just an athletic.
Not according to Marmol for 18 hours or whatever 2 years ago.
Well, we don't talk about that.
I think we've talked a lot about that.
No, we don't. No, we like Ollie Marmol now.
He's going to play first base somewhere between Paul Goldschmidt and Jose Martinez. Okay, somewhere in there.
R.I.P. to a real one, Jose Martinez. I wonder what he's up to right now.
El Cafecito, right? He's balling somewhere.
Yeah, he's probably having a great time.
Probably playing in the Mexican leagues or whatever.
I'm sure he is. So in the same conversation at the GM meetings, Mozeliak added that Contreras Contreras was quite clear about his desire to remain in St. Louis. I think I already said that. But he also noted that Sonny Gray expressed a preference to remain with the Cardinals. Like Contreras, they both have a full no trade clause. We talked about this last week or the week previous that, I think the Rays move, the shrewd move is to probably rip this thing to the studs and get guys like Sonny Gray out and Nolan Arenado out and Willson Contreras out. Willson Contreras clearly sticking around. And I think I said it or you said it last week, Nate. Sonny Gray signed with the Cardinals. He signed a pretty rich contract. He made very clear that he wanted to be in the Midwest. He made it very clear he wanted to be in St. Louis, so he's close to his family, where he went to school. I don't see any reason why Sonny Gray would leave. He's out, what is it, $35 million bucks, living in the place where he wants to live, playing in, St. Louis. For the sake of our conversation, last year sucked, but they won 83 games. There's a good number of people in the ballpark.
You could be doing a lot worse.
Why leave? Yeah.
I mean, I think it absolutely makes sense for both sides. Like the Cardinals probably kind of want to trade him to some degree, depending on what they could get back. But they also offered a no trade clause, and it feels pretty common that guys will waive their no trade clause, or they have a set amount of teams they'll waive it for. But it also happens where they don't, and we don't hear about it as much, but they included that in their contract for a reason. And I've been torn, both Contreras and Gray, I've been pretty torn on, because I do get it, and it would make a lot of sense to trade both of them. But we all kind of see this, hopefully, as the Cardinals window reopening in 2026 to really compete. And you would love to have Sonny Gray on your team if you're trying to compete in 2026. So it doesn't, we don't have to trade him, and it would still be fun to have a pitcher like Sonny Gray on the team next year. So I've been kind of fine either way with this sort of thing.
And I think I'm fine with it too. But Daniel, I think it begs the question of how do you handle a Sonny Gray from like a player management standpoint in 2025?
That's going to be an interesting question, right? I mean, to some degree, you want him out there as much as you can, because that's your best chance to win. And the Cardinals, while they're not necessarily going to focus completely on winning. They still want to. But I also think that, if he's got a nagging injury, you put him on the injured list real quick. If you've got a prospect that you need to put into a 6-man rotation for a couple of weeks, then that's 1 or 2 less starts for Gray. Then you don't sweat it. I think that I don't think you don't press him, you don't push him, but to some degree you use him kind of like a normal usage, I think.
Yeah. Aim for 150 innings, 150 quality innings. And you talk to him the whole way through, and you say, listen, we want you out there, but we're going to be smart, because we really want you out there for 200 in 2026. And you're making $35 million a year anyway. And what we're saying is we want you to work a little less this year. And he goes, cool, and rides off on his jetpack spaceship Lamborghini or whatever.
And, that begs the conversation. Like, do you have that? If Nolan Arenado, who was not, maybe quite notably not mentioned here, if he sticks around, do you kind of handle him the same way? Does he have a day off every week? Do you kind of give him the kid gloves and ask him to bring in, his best? I'm sure saying that to Arenado would be a lot harder than a starting pitcher, because Arenado he's got the baseball psychosis that, we've watched for a few years here, but very interesting. And back to the no trade, I think Sonny Gray is really interesting. Like I said, he clearly picked St. Louis. He wanted to be in the Midwest. And he's somebody who has come out and kind of, not so many words said that he's not really interested in playing in big market, Yankees, Mets, Dodgers. He doesn't want to be a part of that. When he's been able to choose his own team, it's been the Twins and the Cardinals. And he had his most success kind of in the Midwest. Clearly somebody who, I don't think he wants to waive his no trade clause and then be pitching for the Mets, or God forbid the Rays, where they don't even have a home stadium right now, or whatever the situation might be. Why not just stick with your family and hopefully Like you guys are saying, 2026 is a real season with some real competition.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nate.
Do you think that agents all over baseball this offseason are prepping their clients to, when they go to meet with the Cardinals, just make sure you say, I really want to play for the Cardinals because John Mozeliak's a sucker for that and he's going to give you what you want? Because the amount that they made a deal about it last year makes me think some people should be leaning in on that.
I mean, do you guys think the Cardinals are going to sign any serious free agents this offseason?
No, but still, it feels like even, there's got to be a guy that's going to get like a $4 million deal or something good. Mosaiic's going to come out and, talk about how much he wanted to be here and we want guys like that on the team. Ty Wigington is back.
Yeah, I'll pull up who's the free agent list, but I guess it's highly likely that the Cardinals will bring in a player on the free agent pile. Right, I
would
now,
imagine,
right?
if anything, they will continue their sort of reliever roulette. That we all think is the right way to go about it. So I suspect there'll be a few relievers brought in that way, but I'd be very surprised if there's any multi-year deals or anything of any, like, this is a new fixture of this team for the next few years.
Oh, absolutely. Unless somehow, I can't even, like, unless Corbin Burns' market, like, burns to the ground and the Cardinals, but that will not happen. And there's no chance in hell that happens.
I would love to see a smart one-year deal to somebody who they hope to pop off and flip at the trade deadline, which we've seen. But that's such a set of, that requires a lot of things to come together.
Yeah.
It does. We can have a whole episode or a section of an episode about that. But there are players like that all over the place, like Alex Cobb type player, Chris Flexen, Domingo Germán, not Domingo Germán. He's got issues.
We're good on him.
But grabbing somebody, Michael Lorenzen, and flipping them at the deadline because you could flip them at the deadline.
Basically what we said with Kyle Gibson.
Yeah, exactly.
But if they don't do it now, you already got that guy in Eric Fetty. Which again, if Gray's coming back, I think we all agree that Miles Michaelis will be back because there's no really way to get rid of him. Whatever they decide to do with Steven Matz, whether it's bullpen or whatever, and then your young guys, your McGreevy's, your Graceffo, whatever. I don't. Do they? They've always talked about not having enough spots and things of that nature. I just don't know if they go out and do that because any spot that they put in there in their rotation is one less that they can use for that young rotation. Now, they may also feel like these guys need to develop at Memphis, and so they will get that starter for a while. I'm not going to wheel it out, but I would be almost a little bit surprised if they went that way.
They have to send them out to the unknown foreign lands of Memphis where players just disappear for months and then return.
Well, now that, we are actually hiring coordinators and people whose job is going to be making Zach Thompson's pitch mix make sense, making Gordon Graceffo be consistent. I mean, maybe that is going to be more of a thing in Memphis this year. And I could see players cooking and maybe actually progressing there. I do think it would be insane to assume that Sonny Gray, Eric Fetty, Miles Michaelis, Andre Palante, and Steven Matz are going to give you enough innings to finish out the season, to just get across the finish line. But like Daniel said, there's enough youngsters down there to pick up innings that, they'd probably be fine. I guess we'll see like what Chaim Bloom's methodology, how open he is to kind of taking those risks to potentially flip at the deadline, and if he feels confident, I guess that he could bring in talent that actually moves the needle.
Yeah. Did you guys see the MLB trade rumors article? It's like the top 50 trade targets or trade candidates for this offseason, and 5 of the top 12 are Cardinals. It's like basically just the Cardinals top to bottom.
Yeah. And I mean, it was the guys we have all talked about, but that one actually added also like Brendan Donovan that I had not really given a lot of consideration to, but I could understand it. And Nolan Gorman was on that list, which I think we've all talked about, but that's also, a walked by. So it also didn't include Jojo Romero, was kind of mentioned in passing, not listed as an individual, but another guy that could get flipped if they're looking to do that.
Yeah, I had not thought about Jojo Romero at all, but it does make sense to some degree. They have him for 2 more years, I believe. So is it just this year?
I don't know. I'll pull it up.
I think it might be 2 more
He
years.
is entering his second year of arbitration.
Okay. Well, if you're listening and you haven't looked at this article, it's just a pretty good breakdown of the Cardinals' current situation and the valuation of their players. But I think Ryan Helsley was the 2nd overall, and then Eric Fetty was the 3rd overall as far as like best trade candidates. And it certainly seems like both of them will be traded.
Yeah, I should hope so. And I think that there's a chance that you could win the Tommy Edman trade with a clever, maybe you package Fetty and Helsley to the Orioles. I just want one of those Orioles prospects.
The Dodgers are, for them, they're in the situation where the Cardinals could turn Eric Fetty into like Gunnar Henderson, and the Dodgers would still say, we won that trade because Tommy Edman popped off in the World Series and the NLCS, and that was the point of it.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Nate. They could say that.
Stupid, sexy Dodgers.
I mean, people can say whatever they want.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So. That's why we have a
people
podcast.
Can say that, but
that's the motto of the show, isn't it? So.
All right. One other Cardinals news thing I wanted to hit was the Gold Glove Awards came out, and your boys, the Cardinals, got skunked.
Snub City population Cardinals.
The utility Gold Glove was stolen from Brendan Donovan, who I thought had every right to win it, by Jared Triolo of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Ezekiel Tovar of the Colorado Rockies took it for the shortstop position. And that one, go look at Ezekiel. He had such a weird year. He is a slap hitter that I think maybe led the league in strikeouts. He did have a pretty good defensive year though. And, he's a little cutie up there on the Jumbotron. So I kind of like Ezekiel. And then Matt Chapman taking, the Gold Glove from Nolan Arenado. That I think we can be less,
as soon as Matt Chapman came to the NL, it definitely became like he might be now the best third baseman in the NL.
He's
very, very good. Yeah, Tovar had this is where you can slice and dice these numbers and you can kind of pick your poison. All 3 candidates could have won, and you can make an argument for why. Personally, I was very surprised that Tovar won over Dansby or Wynn. We obviously very biased towards Wynn, and I still think he should have won. But it was still a lot of fun to see him nominated in his first full year, and I suspect this won't be the last time. Hopefully, roughly 17 more times as a St. Louis Cardinal.
Sure.
So what else? Hambone. We've got we're starting to get some clarity on, we've gotten a lot of clarity on the options, and then we're going to be moving into arbitration here too. But you want to run us down all the options decisions that were made?
Well, yeah, let's, so on Thursday, the day that our last episode released, because, we're good like that. St. Louis decided its 2025 options on Gibson, Lynn, and Middleton. Those last 2 we suspected were not going to be picked up. The club exercised $1 million buyouts for each player, so they gone. All 3 will become free agents, joining Paul Goldschmidt, Andrew Kittredge, and Matt Carpenter. This is clearing a total of $50 million off of the 2024 payroll for the 2025 payroll, which ain't nothing. That's a lot of guap.
I'd also like to quickly point out that this podcast has a $1.5 million buyout via our Patreon. It's the Bill DeWitt tier. If you're out there and you would like to buy out the podcast, we will quit making this show if anyone will subscribe to the highest tier of our Patreon.
Just 1 month.
Just one month.
We're done. Game over, baby. You could either not have Keenan Middleton on your team, or you could not have us. Think about that.
What's better?
I mean, you're making quite a case here. I expect that
Daniel's got to go to his family and like, I need to explain we are in severe debt, but it's worth it. Trust me.
It's for the good of all
It's for the
mankind.
good.
Yeah. The options declining was it made a lot of sense. And I think that, like I said, Ben, when you're talking about $50 million being cleared, I mean, I think that's where it makes it easier to say this is not going to be a rebuild. It is more of the reset because, when John Moss said, like I said, payroll is going to go down. All you have to do is let that walk and not necessarily replace it. Some of that gets eaten up with increases and arbitration and all that kind of stuff. But, you're already you're significantly going to save money as long as you don't sign, Miles Michaelis to an extension or something of that nature. So I think that is the biggest reason why I have not felt like this is going to be some sort of, 100-loss team. This is a good team and got a lot of good players, and the payroll that they're cutting, it's still to the point where they did not strong arm Willson Contreras or Sonny Gray into, okay, we really need to trade you because we've got to save this money,
right?
Or we want to restructure deals or anything like that. And I don't figure they did that with Nolan Arenado either, even if he's decided to move on, which we don't know that yet. But I don't think that they're going to, force people out the door just to save some money.
Yeah.
If you had to bet right now, we're recording on November 6th, do you think Nolan Arenado is a Cardinal in 2025?
I do, but I confess freely my bias because I really love Nolan Arenado and I really want him to be a Cardinal. And if he if he wants to leave St. Louis, he's going to have to open up. When he left Colorado, it was St. Louis or Los Angeles.
Right.
If he's limiting it to the Dodgers, it's not going to happen.
No.
And it's also going to take a creative deal because that's a difficult contract. So I think because it's going to be hard and because I don't know, where he would go, I still feel like he probably wants to stay in St. Louis if at all possible. But I would say I would be 80% sure that he would stay, but that's just me.
Yeah. So you had mentioned the Cardinals are clearing about $50 million. What about the players who are ARB eligible? Next thing on our little outline here is, so obviously Helsley ARB eligible, and he's in his final year, and we all, I think, expect him to be traded probably before he throws a pitch in the big leagues for the Cardinals this year. Jojo Romero, John King are also in not in their first years. Love them. John King. And then Nootbaar, Donovan, and Palante are first-time ARB eligible, and the Cardinals are projected to pay about $19 million to ARB up all 6 of those players. And I would say, you talk about bias showing that all of those will be tendered contracts. I mean, maybe John King is non-tendered, although I'm sure his dollar amount is very low, and he was fine last year, so they'll probably stick around. And of course, Nootbaar and Donovan Palante, they'd be insane. But about $19 million is what MLB Trade Rumors is projecting we will be spending on those 6 players.
And it's like 8 or 9 on Helsley, right?
The big chunk of that, because it's a huge raise after having 49 saves and all the strikeouts. And
they are expecting it's probably none of this is going to matter, but the case that will be made against Helsley in our absolutely favorite process where teams get into a room and bash their best players in order to save a few $100,000. This was he's not been healthy consistently. This was really one of his first full seasons, and so they'll have a case to reduce his value to some degree.
Nate, did you see my tweet? I did a tweet.
Oh, you did a tweet.
I did a tweet. I'm not sure if you saw this, but I'd like to reference a tweet I tweeted.
Wow.
Did you know that over the last 3 years, Ryan Helsley is the second most valuable relief pitcher by Fangraphs WAR over that length of time?
Well, as I am the acting judge in the arbitration case between the Cardinals and Helsley, I find this to be compelling information.
It is quite compelling. And we were kind of talking about, this was maybe a few weeks ago, that Like, what kind of package will he get? How well regarded is he? I'm not saying he's Josh Hader, but he is the second best reliever over the past 3 years, and is showing signs of only getting better.
Yeah.
They
absolutely should get something, either an individual premium level prospect or a package of multiple valuable lottery tickets. I can not imagine Mozeliak / Bloom dumping him. I would imagine that they would even prefer to just hold until the trade deadline if they don't get a really good deal for him, and will sell to the highest bidder, when sometimes you can get an even better deal at that point.
I think that they will tell teams that they're continue to hold him until the trade deadline. And if they don't get a decent deal, that's what they will do, sure. But I think their preference would be to trade him this winter, just because of the risk that's involved besides the fact that there's a risk between now and July. You're also only getting 2 months of him, and that might be important to a team that needs that last piece. But there are teams now that think they need that last piece.
Well, you completely avoid worst case scenario,
right?
So I think if I were in their shoes, I would be really prioritizing trading him before spring training even starts.
He should never throw another pitch in a Cardinals uniform.
Honestly, I would be a little bit surprised if he gets past the winter meetings. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a move that they make in winter meetings.
That would be fun. I love Helsley. I think I've seen some people online argue for him to be converted to a starter, this, that, and the other. I think all of that is phooey. Cash in on him.
Well, there's been another trend again of relievers in their late 20s, converting back to starters and having some success. The Braves have done it with Reynaldo Lopez. The White Sox are doing it, so, and they've had, you can't name a more successful franchise than the White Sox. So I think people are seeing that and remembering, like, oh yeah, Helsley was meant to be a starter at one point in his life, and obviously flew through the minors with the elite stuff that he had, and similar to like Hicks, it's these guys. Everyone wants to be a starter for obvious reasons, and then they turn out to be elite relievers without ever even getting the shot to be a starter. So I get it, and I bet Helsley as a starter would be a lot of fun, but now's not the time.
And the Cardinals aren't the team to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and and again, that's Kyle Reese has been on that hobby horse since before they changed him into a reliever. And he's and he, it's Kyle. He knows what he's talking about, at least in that regard. But agreed that you can't do it. Yeah. Well, everybody knows Kyle, so you've got to put as many caveats as possible in there.
Love you, Kyle.
But you can't do it if Helsley had 3 or 4 more years in St. Louis.
Oh, hell yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. You talk about it, but even at best case scenario, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year and likely would walk. And you've just kind of ruined that last year of him trying to get back to something. We saw what happened with Jordan Hicks, who had a great first couple months, and then by the end of the year was back in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that started to get really annoying at the beginning of the year with Hicks. But I think that's going to work out for him and the Giants. I think he's probably going to have a good year next year. Mm-hmm. And I could see Helsley having the same thing happen. But just to be very clear, not with us, not right now. The timing isn't right. Move that dude. Go get one young player that we can be excited about.
And I imagine anyone trading for him is not trading for him as like a project to convert him into a starter, unless it's a rebuilding team that wants to trade for him and then extend him and make it a whole pitch, like the Giants or somebody similar to with Hicks, saying like, we'll trade for you. We're going to give you 4 years and you're going to be a starter in 2025. And it's a whole thing. But I imagine the teams offering the best deal from the Cardinals perspective will be like the Orioles or the Phillies or the Braves or someone, these, in window teams who just want him to come in and throw 60 elite innings.
It would break my heart to see this happen, but he would make a lot of sense for the Phillies.
Yeah.
But it would hurt my soul. All right, there's a couple of small moves that the Cardinals made this week that we could talk about. They have announced that they have claimed a right-hander from the Miami Marlins. His name is Roddery Munoz, and apparently he put him on waivers a couple of days ago. He is a kind of just fine pitching prospect. He was a starter. He was projected to probably convert into a reliever. He throws really, really hard, but he came up with the Marlins this year. He started 17 games, 82 and 2/3 innings, and he gave up a 6.5 ERA. Just got absolutely shelled. Probably got called up sooner than he was actually ready. He was rocking a almost 5 ERA in AAA, but the Marlins obviously had their issues this year. But it's a live arm. It's a guy that's probably a somewhat decent major league reliever who could click into something more important, but it's a new face.
These are one of these guys where you're just trusting whatever Cardinal front office guy has a read on him. We just have to trust it because the numbers you said are bad, and then you dig in and it's even worse, like a 7.17 FIP. He has a negative 1.6 WAR in 2024. That's one of the worst single season negatives I've ever seen. And frankly, at that point, it's not his fault. The Marlins are just using and abusing him. Like, he should not be doing that. You shouldn't be able to accrue that much negative WAR. You should be sent down. So clearly they're just like, whatever. We don't care. Everyone's getting fired. There's going to be blood on the walls here soon. So, but I have seen some people.
Which has way been like it, or on faces. I can't remember exactly.
God.
Yeah. That startling confession we got from Ben.
My character has been misrepresented on this
show. You
show.
heard it, people. I like to see blood on women's faces. Hambone.
You said that. You just said that.
But I said hambone after it. And I edit the show.
I just kicked my microphone. I'm so pissed off over here. I'll continue down the outline, you piece of shit. The Cardinals have re-signed Packy Naughton to a 2-year minor league contract. The nature of this contract is due to another injury setback for Packy Naughton. As he said that he underwent a UCL reconstruction surgery last July. Naughton was already working his way back from flexor tendon surgery in June 2023, though he also retore his flexon tendon in addition to UCL damage. So ouch. I like Packy. This show's a Packy first show. This is our guy, okay? Yeah. We're not going to see him for a long time, though. I feel bad for him. It's interesting that the Cardinals are so committed to him, and how little they've really seen him perform. But we saw glimpses of something that could be effective. So I don't know. It's going to be a while, but he's here.
Packy, as you probably know, wore number 70 when he came up.
Of course.
Becoming the patron pitcher.
Of course.
And then he changed the number, and I don't think he's pitched since he has changed the number. And so I'm just telling you, Packy, you got to go back to 70 if you ever want to be pitching in the major leagues again.
Have you reached out to him and explained this to him? Because I feel like he should know.
I mean, I need to.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm sure he's following my Twitter account, so he should know this anyway. But I'll have my people talk to his people.
Okay, good. I think that's smart.
2022, he put up 0.4 WAR in 32 innings. Andrew Kittredge, who I think we all say had a pretty good season in 2024, put up 0.3 over like 75 innings. So there was this little moment that we definitely remember of Packy Naughton being pretty good, and then not seeing much after that. So I guess they're just looking at that and the underlying skills that were able to produce that, and they don't want him to fall in the hands of some other team that's willing to be patient. And then all of a sudden in 2027, he's closing out games for the Yankees in the World Series.
Yeah, it makes sense. If you have a guy that you like, just be patient, and maybe he'll turn around. And
I imagine this minor league deal. Like, did they release the money for it? Because it's probably minor league contract costs, right?
Yeah. It's what, Dunkin' Donuts and
two hots and a cot.
Yeah, whatever other Boston, thing you want to pull out.
Oh,
of there.
I see.
So,
A Dunkachino.
Dunkachino and
The little dunks
lobster roll.
What are those? What are their little donuts? Munchkins. They should come all
And,
little dunks. I like that better.
And they can get a I don't know.
God, he's been just shorted out.
whatever else Boston has.
Yeah, they could park the car in the fire lot.
Some clam chowder.
Yeah, some legal.
There we go.
Legal
Thank
seafood.
They could throw some tea into the river.
Wow.
Or whatever. The Cardinals have also re-signed catcher Chance Sisco to a minor league contract.
Gotta
for the
have more
2025
catchers.
season. This might be the most nothing thing of all time, but he is
give him a chance.
He counts.
Sure. Give Cisco a chance.
Give Sisco a chance. He, geez. Wow, he only played 7 games for the Cardinals last year, but he's coming back. Yeah.
Good.
All right. That's all I got for player news this week, Nate.
All right. We're going to talk about some of the other league news, but before we do, Daniel, can you tell our listeners if somehow they're not already engaging in your content? Odds are they only know about us because of you, but if they are not engaging in your content, will you tell people how they can find you?
You can find and or block me on Twitter at C70. You can, meet me at Mutual and Gateway to Baseball Heaven, found on all these wonderful podcast platforms. Wherever you're listening to this at, you can listen to those as well. And the Substack occasionally has stuff at it. So cardinal70.substack.com. And I think that's probably it.
Yeah, all good stuff. Absolutely worth a listen or a read. If you like this show and want to support it, in the work that goes into it every single week, we would love it if you would check out our Patreon at patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. There's lots of cool stuff on there, but most notably, if you subscribe, you get access to the Bird Scored, our private Discord server. It's a great place to go and see corrections for everything that we've said wrong from C70. He's always in there telling us everything we've said wrong, which we actually do.
I think I've already posted 2 things while we've been on here.
Damn it.
Oh, God. We like to poke fun at, but we also appreciate it. So thank you, Daniel. But also, it's just a good little community of other Cardinal fans, listeners of the show. It's a good way to get away from social media, which I think probably a lot of us are looking for right now in particular. So check it out, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. We'd also appreciate it if you would leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and tell your friends and tell your family. You're going to be around the Thanksgiving table here soon, carving up the turkey, desperately looking for something else to talk about.
You could talk politics, or you could say, wow, what a great new podcast I started listening to.
So, you could play clips of the episode, get your whole family around, get the Yule log burning.
Don't do that. Do not do that. Please don't do that.
Because we all need unity, and this unity of what the heck are you doing is going to be great at Thanksgiving.
We're like Ozymandias and Watchmen. If we're something for everyone to hate is us.
What?
You know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about. Everyone knows
what?
Daniel knows what I'm talking about. He giggled. Yeah. Tell your friends, tell your family. Ben, where can people find us elsewhere online?
I don't like you throwing a pop culture reference over my head like that.
A very dated pop culture reference at this point.
Is it? I'm not.
Watchmen?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Watchmen it's been the movie's even old and the comics before that. So yeah.
Oh, all right. You can follow us on the platform called Twitter at Talk About Birds. We're on Instagram at Talking About Birds. You can come look at our faces on TikTok. We have a TikTok. You can listen to the show on Spotify or YouTube if that's what you want to do. You can email us thoughts, questions, concerns, anything at all to talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And of course, as always, you can call us and leave a voicemail or send a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737. You know where to find us.
So you guys don't know this, even if you've watched the TikTok stuff. Ben actually does the entire show on one of those like pop star microphones that has the little thing right in front of his face, and he's just stomping around his room the whole time that he's doing the show, and he was there's a man playing a tuba right around him.
It causes a lot of post production, but I think it's worth it.
The reason it takes 12 hours to edit every episode.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
right.
I just remember the days when I was actually given ideas about what to email to talk about, Nate's Pizza or things of that nature. So,
man,
I mean, back in the day.
Yeah, I did used to do that, and now I'm trying. I don't even know. I don't even know Nate anymore. He's dropping references that I'm unfamiliar with. I don't even know what to say.
I've evolved.
Honestly, actually, you haven't evolved. He's still just like making pizzas. We have a separate Slack, and Nate will just post photos of the pizzas that he's making.
Yeah, brother.
He's kind of just doing that.
Hell yeah. I got my sourdough starter going. I'm about to make my first pizzas being naturally leavened. I'm very
anytime I come in town, he's like, "Oh yeah, did you guys know that I've been working on?" Like, shut up.
It's the last 2 times you've come in town, and the first one I was telling you all about what I was going to do. And then you came in and I showed you all about what I did do. And then the next time I'm planning on making you pizza, okay?
I was going to say, I'm coming in a couple of weeks. So if I don't get some hot slices, I'm going to be pissed.
Unless you keep being mean to me.
Oh, well, never mind.
Hey, I don't talk about it a ton on this show, but every once in a while I do like to remind everybody that I do have another podcast. We focus on video games, short video games. If you're looking for, again, distractions right now, there's some really awesome video games that we cover every single week. It's called The Short Game. So check that out. All right. Hambone. What do we do? Is there anything even left to talk about with the World Series? Like any more takeaways from it?
Did you see, I think MLB posted on Instagram or TikTok, it was like 90 seconds of Shohei Ohtani enjoying winning the World Series. And it was just him like rubbing champagne out of his eyes and like quietly giggling. He's like such a dork for being the most famous baseball player in the universe. He's such a little dork.
It is funny that like Mike Trout was never the most famous, but was the best player in baseball. And his favorite thing to do was like to go on the Weather Channel and eat rice and bread or something. And then we get Ohtani, who is far more charismatic than Mike Trout, but is also deeply private and is just sort of like a baseball nerd, obviously. And the biggest story about him was, frankly, a pretty embarrassing one for him with the sports betting and everything, and his best friend robbing him blind. Like he's a very strange face of the game. I really like him, and I kind of like this about him. But it is like baseball can't catch a break on its best player in the game. Like unless you're talking about like Mookie Betts or Ronald Acuna, but Ohtani has completely overshadowed them at this point.
I would throw Bryce Harper in there.
Sure.
Bryce Harper will give you a good soundbite and is fun to watch on the field.
Yeah.
And Judge is almost there. He's almost too media trained.
Yeah.
Same with Freddie Freeman.
Well,
Freddie
that's the
Freeman
Yankees
is like,
thing. Yeah.
It's so media trained. They're so ready to say the right thing. Not that I don't think Freddie has like really a mean thing to say in his body, but it would be nice for a little bit of salt to come out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mentioned it already, but it has been funny to see the Dodgers really dunking on the Yankees after winning. They came out and they said that the Yankees were the team they wanted to play from the very beginning because they knew that they play sloppy baseball, and that's exactly what happened. I think their manager,
Dave Roberts,
he said, we really felt like the NLDS against the Padres was the World Series.
Yeah.
They really are going out and making sure everyone knows that they wanted to play the Yankees because they knew the Yankees were going to be bad, and they beat them pretty soundly. I mean, they did. So, they kind of get to say whatever the hell they want right now. But you don't normally.
That fifth inning will go down in the history of the worst inning of modern Yankees baseball. I mean, it was a joke. It was a travesty for them. It was so bad.
But how much does this series change if Freeman doesn't hit the home run in the first game?
Right.
If the Yankees even if the Yankees just take that game, if they get the lead in Game 5, maybe they're not quite as panicked, because there were some panics in that play, right? Some really crazy ideas. So I don't know. I mean, obviously it shifts it some, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, honestly, if Freddie Freeman just didn't exist, where would this World Series, it might, have kept going just because he just kept hitting home runs. But obviously that one of maximum importance. It was funny, and I was kind of thinking of that, Daniel, like with, I kind of viewed that as Anthony Rizzo, I think, made a bad play, and Garrett Cole made a non-play on that kind of squirter grounder to that should have been an easy out at first. And it's like Anthony Rizzo has won a World Series before. He has been there, done that. Garrett Cole has been there, done that. I was very surprised to see that. Like two, like pros, like Garrett Cole's a Hall of Famer. Anthony Rizzo's going to be in the Cubs Hall of Fame. But yeah, the pressure's on, I guess. And
I mean,
you be dumb.
I mean, we still, I think we all still have blazoned in our mind the ball dropping between Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina.
Daniel, I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought about, was that pop fly falling in between a Hall of Famer and a Cardinal Hall of Famer. Just blink right in between them.
Yeah, that added pressure just can drive you crazy.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, I guess anything else you wanted to say? I'll just move right into league news.
Well, I think this might even be in league news, but the Yankees, they were probably going to do this anyway, but it definitely stood out that, 3 days later, they don't take the option on Anthony Rizzo, and his time as a Yankee is over. Probably happening anyway, but definitely it's like, what an unceremonious end to a pretty good run with with the Yankees.
Opening up the doors for Paul Goldschmidt to take over first base for the Yankees, but I guess we'll see what happens. In bigger news, Garrett Cole sort of did opt out of his contract with the Yankees. The Yankees said, that's cool. We'll keep you around. And then they waived the additional year that it was pre-arranged that he would get for that opt-out. And Garrett Cole said that's fine. I'll just sit here quiet and be a Yankee. So a lot of nothing. But for a couple of moments there, it didn't really know. We didn't really know what was going to happen. Kind of a weird move, actually a very weird move.
Yeah.
I think that this really just comes down to Cashman wanting to play ball, but also reading the market and understanding that nobody's going to give a 30-plus-year-old Garrett Cole more money than was already guaranteed on that Yankees contract. And there's a lot of really good pitching on the free agent market right now. All of a sudden, like Corbin Burns, Blake Snell, Matthew Fried. I'm forgetting some other people, but they're Max. What did I just say? Matthew Fried. Max Fried. There's
Matthew
a lot
Boyd
of really good names
out there.
Boyd, yeah, he's huge. Great pitcher.
Pretty good 50 innings for the Guardians, right?
Shane Bieber could be a guy that gets a lot of money. Jack Flaherty is going to be a guy that gets a lot of money. But yeah, I think kind of a weird situation, but all for nothing, I guess, really.
I know. I was kind of getting a little excited to see where Cole was going to go, what the dollar amount was going to be. It's a very unique situation. And then, it's like, oh, okay, cool. I guess he's a Yankee.
Staying with the Yanks. The Royals have decided to keep Michael Wacha, extended him 3 years, $51 million. Couldn't be happier for Michael Wacha. Love that fit for him. Excited about the Royals.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Royals are on the up. Wacha was a big part of the year for them. Now he is paid big time. He'd already earned, generational wealth as a Major League Baseball player, but now he is really gotten a pretty good bag for himself.
Hell yeah.
You'll know better than I, but it feels like he's gotten past that injury stage, that he's become a lot more reliable to stay on the field. And, and again, a lower pressure environment like Kansas City, even though they are a team that can be a contender, very well could win that, division next year, but still not a Boston or anything like that. I think it's a great place for him.
Yeah, and it's kind of true and it's kind of not true. So he threw 166 innings this year, managed 29 starts. That was the most innings he had thrown since 2017 with the St. Louis Cardinals. So hasn't been totally uninjured, but he's just good. He's just like kind of a reliable number 3 starter, which gets you $51 million over 3 years right now. The Cubs have decided to, Cody Bellinger decided to pick up his own player option for 2025.
I don't think the Cubs are happy about this one.
No. I really thought that he was going to have a nice year, and, he just didn't. He kind of had a crap year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he's such a strange player at this point. Obviously, we all know his early years, and then he was pretty good with the Cubs in last year, and then pretty in 2023, and then 2024 just could not stay consistent. And don't worry though, he's still making $27.5 million. So as a Cardinal fan, I'm very excited about this.
Unless, he does that thing where he bounces back the year after not being good and has another.
But either way, they're paying 27.5 now for like an upside play rather than what they were hoping for sure was, like sort of more of a guaranteed value.
Right. Shohei Ohtani undergoes shoulder surgery for a torn labrum. Obviously, that happened in the World Series. He is expected to be ready for spring training. So obviously, that is good for baseball. And then 2 quick former Cardinals news notes. The Padres made it official today, announcing that they have signed Mike Shildt to a 2-year contract extension to keep him around through 2027. He is that dude. He's coming for the Dodgers next year. And then the Rangers have announced that they hired Skip Schumacher as a senior advisor to the president of baseball operations. That's Chris Young. So Skip Schumacher is not going to be in a dugout this year, which I thought was pretty interesting. But he'll go be a front office muckety-muck for a minute and see what happens next.
I mean, a lot of people are saying that's a kind of a manager in waiting type of thing in case Texas wants him to, has a need to switch at some point in time. But it's also, again, and Jeff Jones pointed out to me, there were 2 options after Francona took the Reds, and it's the Marlins, where he just came from, is not going back, and the White Sox, of which nobody in their right mind wants to do if they're actually good. And so, this gives him a way to stay in baseball and, be an option for any job that might come open during the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see there being more movement, like, I don't know, just the Pirates, and I can't even think of the guy's name right now. Is he there for a long time? But yeah, I think that makes sense. And how long is Bruce Bochy really going to keep managing? He's older man at this point, already won his World Series. So yeah. All right. That's all I have for league news.
You missed the biggest news that we could ever have as Cardinal fans.
Really?
Uh-oh.
Kyle Hendricks is no longer in the NL Central.
That's a great point.
Kyle Hendricks signing with the Angels, but of course the Angels are on the schedule for 3 games. And our luck, he will be on the starter for like all 3 of those games.
Angels signed Kyle Hendricks to a 1-year deal worth $2.5 million. That somehow fell through the cracks of my league news. I am so sorry to have.
Daniel's always out there panning for gold, finding the tiny little nuggets.
Man, talk about a bad year last year. He had 130 innings pitched and accrued negative 1.6 baseball reference.
Wow.
And he still, threw 7 shutout innings against the Cardinals?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, something like that. It was one of those games where, the only good game he had was against St.
Just wait. 2025, Cubs, Cardinals, both actually in contention. Cubs acquire Kyle Hendricks at the trade deadline from the Angels.
He's not only going to pitch.
So, there's a critical 4-game series in the beginning of September, and they got him for that. All right. We're going to wrap up, as we always do, with a little game. You guys, I've got a new one for you that I've been waiting to have a guest on, and I'm pretty excited to take a shot at this. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to share my screen, which is great for podcasts. I'm going to try to walk everyone through this as best I can. Friends, tonight we are playing Cardinals Craigslist Price is Right. I assume both of you can see my screen at this point.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
The graphic design on this is top notch.
Thank you.
I don't know. That this is patron worthy right here. I mean, if you're not, you should be putting this in the bird scored so people can see this kind of stuff.
So I've got the Price is Right logo with just a text box that says Cardinals Craigslist over top of it. So here's how this game is going to work. I have scoured Craigslist for Cardinals memorabilia.
Oh, I'm going to be so bad at this.
You guys,
better than me.
In the same way that you do on Price is Right, in the first game that everyone plays, you have to guess how much these items are being sold for on Craigslist. Closest without going over wins. Okay.
Okay. Closest. Okay. My favorite rule.
I mean, it is literally the Price is Right
I
rule.
know. It's fine. I'm just saying.
Ben and I are just going to guess $1 on both of them because we have no idea.
Well, it's also because you have the added complexity of, first off, where in the country is this person? And also, how insane are they? Because they might be valuing their, the straw from the 1986 World Series at $1 billion or whatever.
Right.
I can at least answer one of those. This was all found on the St. Louis Craigslist.
Okay.
So these are all locally sourced Cardinals.
To you. Daniel and I have not.
Non-GMO, locally sourced Cardinals memorabilia. And I also believe that 90% of Cardinals memorabilia on Craigslist is populated by one person. I suspect some sort of inheritance situation or something, because you'll see these are all very similar in their item description, which I will go into as we go through this. Okay. Any questions?
No.
Okay. So the first item,
Wow.
we have here a Tony La Russa Hall of Fame autographed poster. Okay. I'm going to read the description. Here for sale is an FSN Midwest autographed poster of Tony La Russa. It is approximately 27 by 36, and it was purchased at a Cardinals Care charity auction, and the certificate of authenticity comes from the St. Louis Cardinals charity. This is a great looking item that is ready to be displayed. The price for this great item is blank. Thanks for looking and have a good day. Okay.
Wow.
Daniel, we will start with you. How much do you think they want for this autographed poster of Tony La Russa? By the way, looking very demure, Tony La Russa in this poster. He is. Yeah.
Honestly, he looks like Jim Hayes just asked him a question he didn't want to answer. But it's a framed poster. So that adds a little bit to it. I mean, you got the Fox Sports Net Midwest. This is going way back. Obviously, this is 2010, 2011. I will say $50.
Okay, Hambone.
I think that's under. And I think it's. I'm gonna bet $99 on this.
$99. All right, Hambone. You're gonna take it. $200. They want $200.
Yeah.
That's why it's still out there.
Yeah.
Are these items available for purchase?
These are all available right now. Or hold
Send
on.
the links to Ben.
I should say they are available. They were available about 9 hours ago when I put this all together.
All right.
Okay.
Wow.
Moving on.
Oh, that felt good.
We have.
Oh my God, this high res photo is impressive.
We have here an autographed Todd Stottlemyre, St. Louis Cardinals baseball.
Wow.
Looks great, it says. Hello. Here for sale is a signed St. Louis Cardinals logo baseball by Todd Stottlemyre. He was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals in the first round, first pick of the 1985 amateur draft. See picture of the ball and autograph. See picture of the ball and autograph look good. This autograph would make a great display item in any St. Louis sports bar or man cave. Please see pictures to research and verify that the signature for yourself. Thanks for looking and have a good day.
Wow.
Hambone, you're going to kick this one off. Autographed Todd Stottlemyre.
I would just like to, and I don't think this needs to be said, but I feel the need to say it. You do not have to start your Craigslist post with a greeting. And that's going to bug me on every one.
I think it's very polite, and he ends it, whoever they are, end it with, and have a good day.
Todd Stottlemyre. All right. I don't know, man. I'm going to say, judging by how this weirdo overvalued their first thing, I'm going to say $45.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we're talking about inflating his writing as well, because Todd Stottlemyre, drafted by the Yankees in the 5th round of the 83 draft, drafted by the Cardinals in the 1st round of the 85 January draft, secondary phase, didn't sign, in the Toronto Blue Jays of the 1st round.
Did you just know that, Daniel, or did you quickly?
No idea. I pulled up Baseball Reference, but I remember Todd Stottlemyre coming over to the Cardinals in the the 90s.
I remember
when they
Stottlemyre.
he said he was when he said it was drafted by them, I was like,
Also, he was not the first overall pick in the draft.
I just kind of writing that in there. Man, 45 is a good pick. 45 is a good one. I'll go with 50 again because people are strange.
Sake.
Okay. Well, you are both wrong. $30.
Damn it.
$30.
Okay.
You both went over. Hambone, you are still leading 1-0.
All right.
So they can be reasonable.
I'm fine with that.
They can be reasonable. $30.
I mean, I would never pay $30 for a Todd Stottlemyre.
No.
And looking at that signature, I mean, I guess it probably says Stottlemyre, but
I do.
It looks like Tom Equip.
I love that in the thing they said, research the signature for yourself.
Look it up, man.
Do your own research. All right. Here we go. Hot item. An Ozzie Smith Rawlings baseball autographed glove.
Wow.
Okay. Here for sale is a Rawlings Gold Glove Gamer baseball glove signed by Ozzie Smith with the inscription 13X Gold Gloves. The glove is as new with tags, and the signature and inscription are clean/clear in gold Sharpie. A great item for the St. Louis Cardinals fan or just an Ozzie fan, Ozzie in all caps. The autographed item comes with a PSA DNA certificate of authenticity, sticker on item, and accompanied card included. Thanks for looking, and have a good day. Daniel, you will go first on this one.
So, PSA DNA, does that mean like there's Ozzie Smith DNA
I
in this
suspect,
as well?
yes.
Because,
wow.
I think one of his fingers is still in the glove.
I mean, because if you can clone Ozzie, I mean, this
priceless.
is gonna go for
That's a great point.
Boy, man, I don't go shopping for these things because I don't have the money to buy them. But I feel like if it was under $100, I would be interested. So I'm going to say $100.
Okay.
Oh, I think this is well over $100. But to be a shrewd gamesman, I'm going to say 101.
Wow, he did it.
Sorry.
The blood dripping from Ben's knife. Well, yeah.
Because he puts it on his face.
Hambone, you're going to take this one. $850.
Wow. Wow. So I was actually going to guess around $1,000, but I'm that's kind of reasonable.
Yeah, I really don't know what the price of memorabilia is for this sort of stuff, but as far as collector items go, an autographed glove from Ozzie Smith does feel like a pretty valuable thing. I still I'm not paying $850 for this, but I can see why, if it's graded and all that, this is the sort of stuff people who collect these things are looking for. Okay, Hambone, you're winning 2-0. We got a few more for you. Okay. A 1964 Topps Mike Shannon rookie. This is a split card. We've got Mike Shannon on the top, and we've got Harry Fanick on the bottom. Here's the description. Here for sale is a 1964 Topps number 262 St. Louis Cardinals rookie stars card. This is the Mike Shannon rookie in all caps card. A great player moving to third base from right field when the Cardinals acquired Roger Maris. He has been broadcasting baseball. He's been broadcasting baseball games for almost 50 years, now retired, possible Hall of Fame Ford Frick winner in the future.
How long has this post been live?
So I also suspect that almost all of this stuff is just being reposted indefinitely and has been up here, for years, obviously, considering that description.
Okay. Baseball cards are really tricky. This person is obviously not super savvy. I don't think that there's anything super special about this card. There's no signature, but it's interesting. I'm going to go... Oh, wowie. Wow. I'm going to go $20.
$20.
Nathan.
All right. Daniel.
I've been so successful this tonight, but I feel like it's under 20. I'm gonna say 1. All
right, Hambone,
running
the table. They want $50 for this thing. $50. Again, no idea if that's the right value. I suspect that is way more than what this thing is worth. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, but and people are weird about baseball cards, so you never know. But you would think if he actually has something, somebody probably would have bought it for that price.
Yeah. I hear typing.
You can buy it for $15 on eBay, $7.99 used on eBay, $10.
So Daniel's guess was more accurate to its true value.
To be fair, there's also somebody trying to sell it for $125 on eBay, but for the most part, it's running in the 8 to 15. Probably depends on
quality,
how beat up it is, and all that stuff. Yeah.
All right. Couple more. We have an autographed Mike Matheny MLB baseball, St. Louis Cardinals catcher.
Honk alert.
Now, far better picture here. Hello. Here for sale is an autographed Rawlings MLB baseball of Mike Matheny with added inscription, John 3:16. The signature and ball look clean. See pics.
Love this guy.
Okay, so we got ourselves an autographed Mike Matheny ball that Mike Matheny himself wrote John 3:16. You can see it there on the pics. Daniel, you are up first on this one.
I would have expected Mike to be a little bit more creative with his Bible, honestly.
What is he, Stone Cold Steve Austin?
I mean, Wainwright goes into acts, so that's that's pretty standard there. If you're putting this on the St. Louis Craigslist, you'd expect to have to pay somebody to take it. Mike Matheny autograph ball. I have been so far off on everything. Let's say, I have no idea. Let's say $22.
$22. Locking it in.
Wow.
Hambone.
Okay. That's fine. I am in a way different space than Daniel is. I think I'm just going to go with my gut. And I want to, I want to get closer than just saying a little over, but I think it's over. So I'm going to try to get it closer. Just don't worry about me, okay? I'm doing just fine over here.
We all stopped listening.
It's okay.
I'm going to say $125.
Daniel's on the board. $40 for the Mike Matheny.
Damn it. I should have just played the game. I hate this.
Well, Hambone is going to win, but we have one last one. Yeah. Maybe the most interesting item. We have a 1935-1936 Diamond Matchbook Dizzy Dean. So This is a matchbook with Dizzy Dean on it. and Jerome Dean, as he is listed here. A little bit about him. So this is apparently from 1936. I'll read. Hello, St. Louis Cardinals fans.
And welcome to Talking About Birds.
Here for sale is a 1935-1936 Diamond Matchbook of Dizzy Dean, green border version. This is a very rare and vintage item. Please see picture to judge the condition for yourself. Parentheses, it looks great, or it looks very good. Thanks for looking.
Well, wait a minute. Am I supposed to judge for myself, or are you going to tell me? I can't do it. Come on.
Thanks for looking, and have a good day. I think, Ben, you are up first on this one.
This is okay. So I've never seen a matchbook with a baseball player on it. I cannot believe that this thing has survived this long.
Yeah.
I've also never heard of somebody trying to collect something like this. So I have absolutely no idea what this would be valued at. So I'm going to take a wild guess, and I'm going to say Dizzy Dean, which is a big deal. I'm going to say $35. That's my guess.
Send the link to Augie Nash, and it'll probably go up. Augie on Twitter. Man, 35 is a good pick. Because you could easily see with it being Dizzy Dean, somebody trying to just shoot the moon.
Right.
But then again, it's a matchbook. I will say... I'll say 40.
All right. Daniel, you're going to take it. You said when you shoot for the moon. This guy, whoever they are, did not just shoot for the moon. They shot for the dead center of the sun. They're asking for $1,000.
Wow. Oh my God. For a match, I mean, I get it. They're hard to keep unburnt up, but like
by their nature, they are meant to burn up.
I mean, and it's a rare. I mean, you probably can't find that everywhere, but yeah,
$1,000.
Yeah,
Wow.
I truly have no idea. This could be a great. It seems impossible, but it is baseball memorabilia from the 30s. So there is, there's obviously collectors out there for this sort of thing. Now, this is also, I believe, based off the other listings, been posted and reposted on Craigslist for seemingly a long time. So there's not like a hot market for this.
I think you need to show some journalism and email this guy and see if he is still with us or if this is just auto posting ad nauseum.
Some AI.
If you want to sell this for $1,000, this kind of thing, you don't put it on Craigslist, right?
That's kind of where I'm at.
You go to a collector or you get into some sort of, something like that. But, Craigslist is not where I would go for big things.
That is part of why I believe that this is just a big batch of things that someone got, like their grandpa died or something, and they've just like, throw it up on Craigslist infinitely and we'll see what happens. There's like some hints in here that this is at least like there's some known element about this because it has in parentheses green border version, which implies that like this is a set or there are different versions and things like that of these items. So probably people are collecting them.
Or that's what they want you to think.
Yeah, they're just like, this has a green border.
It's a green border version. Oh,
wow. But yeah, Daniel, you got that one. You were only $960 off, but Hambone was $965. That ends the game at 3-2. So congrats, Hambone. And thank you both for playing Cardinals Craigslist. Price is Right. And that is going to do it for this week's episode. Daniel, thank you again so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
All right. And I guess remember to tell your friends, tell your family, check out the Patreon. We'll be back as always next week with another episode. And this week, I just want to say thanks for listening and have a good day.
Well, see you later.
Thanks for looking.